Okay, Catherine, we're going to get ready to watch your round. First time through is going to be first impressions, just like I were judging your junior hunter class that you submitted. Nice first jump. I liked the march to that, looked confident. First impressions, your horse is well turned out, your tack fits well. It's obviously well taken care of. It's in good condition. Nice gallop up the first line. Looks like it was a forward line. Your horse has a lot of stride, but he still had to continue right up there. One thing I'm noticing about the environment, I hear a lot of wind on the video, and every once in a while he looks a little suspicious. Like right there, I could hear you cluck a little bit. That might just be from some of the environment if it's very windy. Flowers are fluttering and such, but he looks confident. He has a great expression. So far, we might have been a little deep at jump 2, but other than that, it's looking nice and consistent. Presumably this is the last line and you're on the same exact pace you were to the first jump. That's a nice place for me to reward you as a judge. I like when we start and finish the course at the same pace. Nice. That was a nice first look at that. I think if I were judging a junior hunter class, that would come in somewhere around an 80 score for me. Depending on the venue, what else I had seen that day. But that was a nice, confident first round. Let's take a closer look. All right, Catherine, now that we've had a quick first impression look at your junior hunter round, let's go back and take a closer look to see how you could have done better in a judge's eyes. Again, to the first jump, as I pointed out, I thought that was a great first impression. It was nice, it was confident, it was right out of stride. When your horse landed from the first jump, there's something I'm going to come back to at the end of our round, where we might have a look at this again, the landing stride here. From a judge's eye, I think that maybe your horse landed disunited there, but it happened quickly. I don't have the best view of it, but it's something I'm going to look for. I won't take anything off for now, but if it becomes a habit, we might revisit that. And we'll talk more about what that means, too. Now here, coming to your first line away from the in gate, this is the only jump that you weren't super accurate at. You were very accurate all the way around, but you got a little deep to that jump. And then you had to ride up the line, big galloping course here. If we go back and watch that again, you'll see when you get a little bit deep, your horse has to awkwardly jump the jump. It's not his best jump. It's not his worst. He does a good job of it. He's built nice and uphill, which helps him in this situation. But it isn't the best presentation for your horse. And you get a little ahead, and then there you can see your hands getting a little busy, telling everyone, hey, I've got to get going here. As you come through this corner, I want you to pay attention to your horse's posture and how you react to it. You seem like you know your horse well. The wind is blowing a lot in this video, and he seems to be a little suspicious. It's not your typical show ring. It's big. There are islands of flowers and decorations everywhere. And as you come to the two stride over here by our point of view, he definitely backs off and looks at it a little. You handle it well, but you could handle it even better. And maybe this is something that you and your trainer could discuss in terms of preparation, so your horse doesn't have that hesitation that we see. That definitely keeps you out of the mid-80s for me. Right there, he sort of glares off to the side, and then you have to be pretty aggressive with your leg and your body. You do a good job, and he goes right through it, but you could tell he was a little hesitant. Let's watch that one more time. You can hear you clucking there. So for a judge, that just tells you that there's a problem. It's not being perfect. I wouldn't kill you there. If he did it much more than that, I think then you'd have a pretty low score. That was acceptable so far, but these little things add up. Now your next diagonal line you ride in great, if I remember correctly. You're accurate, he jumps well, but halfway up the line you realize, oh, I'm a little late, and you start moving up again. There it is. Good, one more time there. Let's go a little farther back even. This is where I think you can make the most headway in terms of your score. You had a great jump in. There's no reason to be this far away from the oxer on the way out of the line. Your horse does it well. He's rangy and has a big stride, but I'd love to see you get closer there. I think that could really improve your score. Now before we jump this last line, I'm going to pause for a moment. You have a nice position there. One of the questions you sent in that we're going to revisit at the end of this video is, could you do big equitation classes on this horse and be competitive? Most of the time your position looks like this, which is great. But we're going to revisit that at the end and see if we can make it a little better. As we come up this last line, I think this was your best line. He's a little flat on the way out if I remember correctly, but we're going to watch him land from the last jump. That's only the second time that I can think of that he's landed on his right lead, which he did at the first jump. At that first jump, I wondered if he landed disunited. What that means is he's on one lead in front and a different lead behind. And from a judging point of view, that's a negative. I think he does it again after this last jump. And if he did, I'd say, okay, now the horse has done it twice. That's something you and your trainer or your veterinarian could look at and see if maybe you could get him out of the habit of doing that. But let's take a look here. Lands on his right lead there pretty well. At the oxer, he has to stretch, and there you could see he did it for sure. So let's back that up. And we're going to watch this again, and we're going to try to pause it at the right time if we can. Now right there, if you take a minute and we look at his legs, his back legs are on the left lead. His front legs are about to be on the right lead. That's one place that you could really do better. If a horse does that consistently, a lot of judges will really think about taking off. As I hit play, you're going to see he's on the right lead in front, and he very quickly switches those back legs to become true leaded, we call it, when he's entirely on one lead. Here we go. So all in all, that's a great round. But to recap, I'm going to bring it back and let it play one more time, and we're going to talk about a few of the things we could do better. At the first jump, we liked our presentation, but we're going to work on getting our horse to land on that right lead united. Jump 2, just a little off the mark, a little deeper than you wanted to be. Could support it a little bit better, but all in all, I think that's pretty acceptable. We're going to try to sit more still and be a little more subtle when we have to get up to the oxers. Here at the two-stride, we're going to spend some time getting our horse comfortable with the ring setting and his environment, and make sure that when we go into the ring to show, he doesn't worry about things to look at outside the ring. Up this next line, we're going to work at getting closer to the out of the line. We want to take off from a deeper distance at the oxer so that our horse doesn't get flat and have to stretch. And finally, the same theme at this last line. We want to get closer to the final jump so that it's an easier effort for our horse and he's more likely to land on his right lead entirely united and balanced without that cross canter step right after. Catherine, I'd like to answer the two questions that you sent in with your submission. The first is, can you use this horse from your video in big equitation classes like the medal and the clay? I absolutely think so. He looks athletic and brave, ambidextrous, and you're very comfortable on him, which is a big help. I do think you could spend some time working on your position with your trainer, particularly your lower leg in the air of the jumps, and jumping out of a lighter seat would be more modern and contemporary for today's equitation style. Here are some pictures from your round that illustrate these weaknesses. Lastly, you asked to see a judge's card of mine. Here's one of my favorites from a class I judged several years ago where the horses just went great. Well, that's it. I really appreciate your submission. Thank you for using Judge My Round with Tom Brennan. I hope to meet you one day. Please come up and introduce yourself and enjoy riding.